Hey guys, it's Mr. Davis here. I'm still at home recouping from surgery. I'm hoping to be back with you guys soon. But anyway, Dr. Olson is in meetings today, so I wanted to kind of get you guys started on the solution interview. Hopefully, you guys have all completed your problem interviews. I saw a couple of them turned in. If the rest of you guys could get those turned in ASAP, that would be great. Please remember you're supposed to have 30 of those completed. That'll just be good verification or validation that uh, enough people actually have the problem. So anyway, before we get started with solution interviews, if you want to hit pause on this video, you might want to grab some headphones or earbuds or something, or just find a quiet corner of the room to watch this video for the next few minutes. I really need you guys to pay attention to the solution interview because we've kind of done this wrong the past couple years. So I want to explain that to you. So if you would, like I said, hit pause and find somewhere where you can pay attention to this for the next few minutes. All right, so this week we're starting the solution interview process. The solution interview you'll see is similar to the problem interview as far as the way the interview is actually structured and laid out. But this time you'll be testing whether or not your potential customers are interested in uh, how excited I guess they get about your solution or your product idea. So this is a pretty exciting time. It's the first time you actually get to take your product idea out and show it to people and gauge their reactions. So let's just jump right into this. Um, like I said, hopefully you've all validated or verified your problems. So now it's time to start verifying if your product or solution idea is something that people will want. So you're going to be creating some type of mock-up or something to show people what it is, what your product actually is. So the focus now will be testing if your solution really does solve the problem, or if people really think that it would solve the problem. And then also, what price would customers be willing to pay? That's something we haven't really got into yet, but you know, I'm sure all of you guys have some type of price in mind that you think people might be willing to pay for your product idea. So, but you might find out through this solution interview process that people are willing to pay either way more or, just as importantly, way less than you thought. And depending on those answers you find out, it's a good, I guess, it's a good point to kind of move forward with your planning and development of your product. So the goals here of your solution interview throughout this week, and we'll actually be working on this for a couple weeks because you'll see it's going to take you a little bit of time to get ready for this interview, a little bit more time than the problem interview because you've got to create a mock-up here. But our goals are to continue to verify that your problem and who those early adopters are, who your customers or potential customers might be. Remember, that's all based on your customer segmentation, demographics, psychographics, geographics, and the product benefits. So you want to figure out what the minimum feature set to your product is in order to launch that product. So what's the minimum product that you could put together in order to take it to market, in other words? You want to evaluate if people are willing to pay for your solution. For instance, Aaron and Bella, I know you guys have an app. A lot of people aren't willing to pay for apps anymore. So how would you then make money from people downloading your app? You want to determine then finally what price customers are willing to pay. If they are willing to pay for that product, what price are they willing to pay? Um, so, you should start thinking about your solution in these terms and trying to develop a way to present that solution to get people excited and to really gauge their reactions and what they are willing to pay or would be willing to pay. So what we're going to do is you're going to start developing a demo, or what's called a demo, for your product. This will let people visualize your product, see what it actually is or what your idea is, and it'll help you to validate whether people actually would really want that product or not. Um, it should be something that's reasonable to stand in for your actual solution. What I mean by that is you don't want to just create. I know the first year we did these solution interviews, every team found this online kind of a, I don't know, it was like a commercial type generator, like cartoon graphic type thing. And once one team found that, every single team did the exact same thing. But the problem with that is it was just simply a little presentation telling people about the product ideas. There was nothing there to actually show people what the product was. So you've got to really think about this in terms of showing people, what your product idea is, and we'll get into that here in just a minute. But you want to build enough through your demo, so you are going to be building something here, but you want to build enough to get a reaction from people so that you can measure that reaction and see how excited they are. And this is a pretty fun time of the year here, because this is the first time you really get to take your idea out there and see people get excited about it, and see people's reaction and just, wow, that's an awesome idea. So pretty fun time over the next few weeks as you start really getting excited about your products, and the people that you're going to be targeting. So here, the next couple slides are just examples of some demos from the past. Some of it, this one is actually professional demo from Dropbox. Dropbox, I'm sure you guys know what it is. It's I know I'm in college right now at West Georgia taking some graduate level classes, and I know they don't really use Dropbox anymore, but typically, or before, colleges would use Dropboxes for people to turn in assignments. It kind of works a little bit similar to like the Google Drive, where it's basically a file storage or media storage type website or software package. So anyway, let's watch this.
My name's Drew, and I'll be showing you a quick tour of Dropbox, which is a new way to store and share files online. What makes Dropbox different is that it just works, and there isn't any complicated setup or interface to learn. So let's get started. I've already installed Dropbox on a Windows PC and put a bunch of files in, and now I want to sync these files to my Mac. So to do that, I just installed Dropbox, and now I'm linking my Mac to my account. So in a second, my account will be linked, and you can see that the files that were on my Windows PC will start coming down. And what we're looking at is my Dropbox folder, which looks and acts like any other folder except for two things. One, these little green icons that indicate files are up to date, and two, anything in my Dropbox is synced across all of my computers and to the web. And you'll notice that when I make changes, everything syncs up pretty quickly. And as another example, I'm going to log into my Windows PC, where you'll see that not only are the changes from my Mac already here, but if I make another change to a file, so for example this picture of a platypus, and then I hit save, the change begins uploading immediately. And when I go back to my Mac, the change is reflected in a matter of seconds. So the point is, if you've ever worked with multiple computers or carried around a USB drive or emailed yourself files from work, you can see this is a much easier way of managing your stuff. And we also protect you from the bad things that can happen to your files. So if I delete a bunch of stuff, we have this web interface where you can not only get to your files in case you're not at one of your computers, so here are the contents of my Dropbox here, but we have this show deleted files link where you can select a file that you've deleted, and then you have an option to bring it back in a couple of clicks. So I'll do that, and instantly the file's back. And not only do you have the option of restoring the most recent version, but actually any prior version of a file, because every time you make a change, Dropbox saves a snapshot. And Dropbox is also very efficient about the way it handles changes to files and sends only the pieces that change. So in the case of the platypus picture, just sending the delta saved over 80% of the bandwidth. So that covers a lot of how we make it easy to access and protect your own files, but the other half of what we do revolves around making it really easy to share and put files online. So normally if I want to share something, I have to send an email attachment or something like that, but Dropbox has this special public folder.
So you guys get the gist of that. One thing I want to say about that Dropbox demo video, obviously this demo was basically when they were ready to bring that product to market. And we're, obviously nowhere near that right now. So just keep that in mind as you watch that video there. That was obviously Dropbox, the software package was already created, and that demo wasn't necessarily for a solution interview. That was to basically sell the product. So keep that in mind as you watch that Dropbox video. Here's another demo video.
Being single is fun, except when it's not. Like when you're spending Sunday nights alone listening to sad love songs. Well, cheer up. Your next hot date is closer than you think. Your friends have single friends who would be perfect for you. But there's one small problem. You have no idea how to find them. Well, that's about to change. Hinge is an amazing app that makes it easy to check out friends of your friends. You start by answering questions about your Facebook friends, like who's single, which ones are your type, who wears designer sunglasses, or who would survive the zombie apocalypse. Your answers help your friends get set up, but more importantly, they help Hinge learn your taste. That way, Hinge can search through all the friends of your friends and suggest the very best matches for you. Then just pick the ones you like. Your picks are kept secret unless the feeling is mutual, in which case, Hinge makes the intro. And don't worry, Hinge takes your privacy seriously. All the questions you answer are anonymous, and nothing appears on your Facebook profile. So what are you waiting for? Play Hinge now and see who's just a friend away. Hinge. Your next date is closer than you think.
So you see there, that's obviously some type of software package, but with that one, they didn't have obviously the software developed probably just yet. They probably had it maybe in the process of creating that, but they wanted to kind of engage some emotions and then show people with this little funny kind of cartoon type thing that I guess what the product would actually do once it is brought to market. So that's a good example of a demo. Here is an actual incubator group from Chicago, and then next I'm going to show you an incubator group from our first year at Union County. So this video, like I said, is from Chicago.
Whenever you guys are ready. There is a common misconception that one person can't change the world. But go back in history and look at the greats who did. For example, Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and many others. They believed when no one else believed in them that they could change the world, and look what they accomplished. Hi, my name is Matt Rowley, and today I'm here to talk to you about our business, Save the World. When we first started, our group wanted to tackle the problem of global warming, but fell victim to the same misconception of our predecessors, that one group of 5 high school students just couldn't make an impact. 5 months later, we realized that we can make a difference, and that we can make the world a brighter, cleaner place. And how will you do that, we ask? Well, with our app, Save the World.
I'm Sabrina, and I recycle at least twice a day. From newspapers to water bottles, I do the best that I can do to make the world a better place. But I really have no idea how these things I'm recycling are affecting the environment. I mean, I know what I'm doing is good, but I don't know the extent I impact the world with each thing I do. This is why Save the World came about. Save the World is a smartphone app that lets you input your recycling contributions and in turn shows you how they impact the world. So when I recycle this single tin can, I will now input it on Save the World by clicking on the kind of recycling, metal, and the size, 400 grams. My Save the World will tell me the impact of just that can. Now I know that recycling one aluminum can can save enough energy to run a 100-watt light bulb for 20 hours, or a computer for 3 hours. And for that energy I conserved, it will be converted to points. This way I can compare my score to my friend's score, and see how my town, state, and potentially even country is doing compared to the rest of the world. With that, my virtual tree on the app will start to grow, and with each contribution, my tree will grow more and more. Once I complete it, it will start my tree over again and keep my points. That's why I save the world. I hope at the end we have saved the world.
So just to reiterate, the problem that we're trying to solve is
So that actually, you see it's 20-minute long video. That was their final pitch. So keep something in mind as you create these demos. Obviously, you see that was a pretty good video there. And I'm going to show you that's very, I guess, you're able to do something like that in our class. And I'm about to show you a video of someone in our class from the first year that did something very similar. But anyway, what I was about to say is these demos can probably use them throughout the year, especially when you're giving your pitches later on in the year as kind of an introduction to your pitch. And that's exactly what this team did with that video that they created very early in the year. They were able to utilize that as they went through the year and started pitching their idea. So keep that in mind, just kind of as we continue this conversation. So let me show you one more video here. This is
Cravings Food is an app that was thought of to provide a
sorry. This is from one of our teams.
Is an app that was thought of to provide a simple and reliable detailed ingredient list of fast food menu items to help aid health-conscious customers, vegetarians and vegans, and people who suffer from food allergies. How the app works is simple. There are 5 super easy settings to help maneuver through the app: a profile setting, an allergen and ingredients setting, community as well as top rated, and ending with your normal settings button. When you click on the profile setting, it shows your info, the restaurants you have been to and liked, your allergens, and the suggested restaurants you might like to go to as well. When you go to the allergens and ingredients setting, it shows almost all of the main food allergies as well as ingredients from many fast food restaurants. You simply click a box of the item you do not want in your food, and that ingredient will be highlighted in red if it pops up in a food item you are thinking of trying. It's that simple. The community setting is pretty cool. There's a radius bar that shows the different restaurants in a specific area as well as people in that radius. If a fast food restaurant is in the area, then it will pop up on the screen. There is also a search button for a specific restaurant you would like to go to or find in your area. In the top rated section, it shows the top restaurants in your area and the amount of stars they have been rewarded for their efficiency and how alert they are about their customers' needs and wants. There's a normal settings feature as well that allows you to sign into your personal account as well as look into your personal info, security settings, and privacy. Now, the app works simply like this. Say you want to order Chick-fil-A. You type it in the search bar. You want a spicy chicken sandwich, but you do not want pickles or are allergic to them. The ingredients pop up. Everything you can eat is green, and everything you cannot eat is red. It's just that easy.
All right, so you see that was actually a group from our first year at Union County. That is a very similar video to the one we just watched from the incubator group in Chicago. Let me just say, pause right here and kind of explain something to you guys. This video from this team was actually created just prior to their final pitch that year. So basically they created this video way late in the year for their final pitch, to make their final pitch better. Now, imagine how much more that team could have done throughout the year if they would have simply created this video at this point in the year instead of that one I spoke about a little bit ago about just the little graphic thing with somebody in the background talking that they found online. So that's my point here is you guys need to really think about creating a way to show your product and what it does to people. This is not just explaining your product to someone. You want to actually physically show them what you're talking about. So let's just talk about how to create that demo. There's several different ways to do that. Obviously, we just watched some videos. You can create some type of video like the videos we just saw or something similar. You can do some type of screenshot on your computers. A screenshot is, basically when you just take a shot of your screen on your computer. Screencasts, those are actually videos of your computer screen like I'm doing right now. This is a screencast video that you're watching, and it basically, you can talk behind whatever it is you're doing on your computer, so that's an option. You can also create a physical mock-up of your product. If Spencer is actually in the school store today, I would like you guys to ask him to if he still has it, to show you what their prototype was last year for their cereal Twist and Go product. If he don't have that physical prototype, ask him to explain that to you, because actually they created that for their MVP. However, it's more of a demo. Like they should have, in other words, they should have created that. And Spencer, if you hear this, don't get mad at me for saying this, but they should have created that, what they called a prototype, at this point in the year to show people, how the product would actually kind of fit together and work. And then for the MVP, once we get to that later on in the year, that's actually where you're going to take this idea and, for Twist and Go, in other words, they would have needed to do something to provide the cereal and the milk and everything for the customer at that point in the year. So I guess my biggest thing is teams the past 2 years have kind of had a misconception that a demo is a prototype in the minimal viable product stage, whereas they should have created what they created for the minimal viable product at this point in the year, so that they could start really gauging feedback and developing that idea much more. I guess expanding on it much more throughout the year, instead of just keeping that same basic idea and not really getting enough feedback for it. So sorry, I'm kind of getting tired here. I did have surgery last week. Anyway, so keep that in mind. You really, really, really want to create something that shows your product idea. This can also be a sketch of some sort that's kind of labeled and detailed. It can be a 3D model. Here's some more examples. You can create a PowerPoint. However, if you're going to create a PowerPoint, you need some graphics in there. It don't need to just be a PowerPoint with a bunch of words explaining what your products are. You need to physically draw, create, make a video, something that actually is going to really show people to the best of your ability what this product idea is. Computer-aided design or CAD models. If any of you guys have had the engineering class and know how to use that software program, you're more than welcome to use that to create like a 3D visual of your product, or you can create a prototype of a 3D model. If anybody has a 3D printer or access to a 3D printer, those types of things. And actually, when I was talking about Spencer and them's Twist and Go prototype, they actually created that with a 3D printer. So if he has that, I'd really like you guys to see that. But do realize that they really should have created that prototype at this point in the year, and they created it way later in the year, during second semester for their MVP pitch, and that's kind of late. And if they would have created that prototype at this point in the year, I feel like they probably would have progressed a whole lot more, and had better success throughout the year. So, my biggest thing with the solution interview is I don't think our teams the past 2 years have taken it as seriously, really, as they should have. And when I say that, I don't think it was their fault. I'm not sure that we explained it, or we pushed them really to create that prototype or create that visual that we need at this point. In other words, so that they can develop those ideas, throughout this first semester and be ready to test those ideas as we go into next semester, because you don't want to get to January, February where you're trying to test these ideas and you still don't really have a good feel for what people want in regards to your product. So, I'm trying to think some examples. Sky and Isaac, for instance, like with your air conditioning unit, I know we talked about the whole making a small unit for like camping and those types of things. I haven't talked to you guys in about a week, so I'm not sure where you're at with all that, if you're still going that route, but, you know, create that, whether you use a shoebox or whatnot. It doesn't have to function at this point. It doesn't have to blow cold air, but make it look like what it was going to look like, and then you can just tell people this little thing is going to be an air conditioner heating unit that you can put in small areas to heat or cool the area, and that way people can actually put their hands on it and say, wow, that's a pretty cool idea, and it's going to function off of batteries, and you can tell them all that kind of stuff, like it'll run, I don't know, for 5 days off of some AA batteries or whatever. You see what I'm getting at? People can actually hold it and say, wow, if I could have this, you can gauge their excitement. So you want to create something that people, they don't necessarily have to hold it, but a sketch, or like I said, a video or something that people can really see what it is your product is, and what they can do with it. So keep that in mind as we start developing these demos or prototypes or whatever it is you're gonna develop. So the content and design of your demo, it should be realizable. What we mean by that is it should look real. People should be able to realize what it actually is. You also want it to be quick to change, and what we mean by that is, let's say you start interviewing 4 or 5 people and they all start saying, yeah, that's an awesome idea, but, and they give you that but what if it had this, or what if it was just modified? And let's say all 4 or 5 of them had the same thing they were saying they would like to see tweaked on it. Well, if it's quick to change that thing, if you design it in a way where you can easily go in and edit, maybe you can make that change kind of mid-interview process and go back and say, is this what you're talking about, to those same people, and gauge their excitement from that, you know what I mean? And then just continue with your interview. So it's good to create something that you can change rather quickly if you need to, because, if 4 or 5 people tell you the same change needs to occur with your product idea, chances are all 30 of those people, so why not go ahead and change it? It's the whole fail fast method, you know what and I hope you guys remember what I'm saying. We try to fail as fastly as we can, through this process. So you also want to minimize waste. Remember, that's the whole lean startup methodology. Minimize any kind of wasteful thing. So you don't need to start thinking of something that's going to cost you a fortune to try to build over the next week, or it shouldn't even cost you anything really, to create a demo. Very minimal at most. So you don't need to go out and, in other words, hire a professional video crew to come in and film something for you. That's not what we're looking for. You don't need to start looking on Amazon for tons of supplies and start spending hundreds of dollars trying to create that air conditioning, Sky. That's not what we're looking for here. You do want something physical that people can really see, as you explain to them what you hope what the product would do, but the product doesn't necessarily have to be fully functional. So minimize the waste, and you want real looking data. You want to get data that, in other words, looks real. Do people like this idea? Why do they like it? What do they like about it? All those questions that give you that real hard data that you need to then validate your ideas. Just a thought here. This is an entrepreneur here. Content precedes design. Design in the absence of content is not design, it is decoration. So think about that quote right there for a minute. You can't get bogged down. I know I just gave you a whole lot as far as what I want to see you create here, but you can't get too bogged down in the design right now. Yes, I do want you to create something physical that people can actually see and see how your product will function. But right now it's about the content. And what I mean by that is, provide that visual for them, but then also make sure you're thinking about all the content involved with your product idea, and make sure that is represented in your demo. So if you create a video like those videos you saw of the apps, they had the cool video of somebody sketching on a whiteboard, but behind that they're talking all about the content of the app. So don't get so caught up in the design that you lose focus on the content. So just keep that in mind as you start developing these demos, to have a balance there, I guess. Yes, you want something physical that you can show people, but you got to focus really on the content. All right, so I'm actually going to stop right here for today. Let's see, slide 13. So what I want you to do today, since me and Dr. Olson, neither one could be with you today, I want you to just go back and get with your teams if you're not with them right now, and just start talking about what type of demo you can create. And when I say start talking about it, I want you guys to really have a discussion and come up with 3 or 4 or 5 different ways you think you can present your product idea to customers. So the reason I want you to come up with multiples, because then I want you to really talk about how easy it's going to be to create this demo, maybe the cost associated with it, how quickly, and don't get me wrong there, it's not, you don't want to pick something just because you can throw it together in 5 minutes, and that's not what we're looking for. You want it to be the best way to demonstrate what it is your product will do for the customer. So I want you to talk about that, and then just kind of start coming up with some rough ideas throughout today for your demo idea. Also, please finish those problem interviews, get those turned in. I'm probably going to grade those later on this afternoon. I did notice Ian and Justin, you guys have turned them in. You did only have, I believe both of you only had 26 interviews on there. So I will be counting off points, just so everybody knows, for every, I want you to hit 30 on this, and you'll realize later in the year why I'm pushing you so hard to do that. So just realize that I will be counting off points if you're not hitting that 30 mark. So please, if you guys have time, maybe call a few people, interview a couple more people, and get those results on those spreadsheets. But everybody else, please get your spreadsheets turned in for your problem interviews. I'm really thinking about starting to take late points off for late work, because we're kind of getting in a routine, it seems like, where everybody's just kind of turning things in as they want to and not paying attention to due dates. So I hate to be a stickler for that, but I'm going to have to be, because it becomes a hassle, not a hassle, but just it's not teaching you responsibility, I guess is the best way to put it. So anyway, guys, I hope you're all doing well. I'm looking very forward to seeing some of these demos. I'm hoping Dr. Olson will be in there tomorrow. I'm hoping to be back tomorrow, but I know I have a meeting in Hayesville at 9:45. So I'm if I do get back to school, I'm definitely going to come see you guys. But if not tomorrow, I'm hoping to be back throughout this week at some point. But I know I have a lot going this week actually at school. So anyway, not promising a whole lot for this week, but hope you guys are doing well. And I'm going to get there for part or all of the class, hopefully by the end of the week, one or two of these days. So please let me know. Email me if you have questions on any of this, or if you want me to give you any feedback on your demo ideas. But start creating these. Have fun with it, guys. This is a very fun part of the year because you actually, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's the first time you're actually taking these awesome ideas that you guys all have and getting to show them to people and getting the feedback and getting to see their excitement. So miss you guys. Like I said, I hope to be back with you guys real soon. Let me know if you have questions. Thanks.